save and I printed the wrong boards.
This evening's St. Louis FC match is brought to you by the Cheshire St. Louis and LHM. For bookings and more information, visit www.cheshirestl.com. Tyler Terrens along with the former German pro Devin Kerr as St. Louis FC looking for a massive 3 points against a one-win RGV side who come in Toyota looking to try to find some sort of form as we are well into the dog days of the summer. And Devin, for RGV, while they just have one win to their name in 2018, this is a side that just downright struggles to score the ball, and that's a reason for their struggles at the start of the season.
And if you take a look at their performances, they've shown you that they have the capability of playing at the highest level. But the problem is it's been everybody on their own individual terms, very selfish play. We've seen good stuff from Sullivan, Enriquez in the middle, and Zaldivar up top, but it has to be more of a collective effort. The talent is there, the execution is missing.
RGV coming off of a 0-0 draw against Phoenix Rising. You see a couple of missed chances here, which has really just been the story for Gerson Echeverry's side. And for St. Louis FC, let's take a look at our Toyota player to watch. It is none other than Kyle Gregg. And his last goal came on June 9th against Tulsa. But Devin, if St. Louis are going to continue their good run of form, they're going to need Kyle Gregg to be a bit more consistent.
You start off with big stats for him, 6 goals and an assist on the year, but you said it, hasn't scored in quite some time. Anthony Pula is telling us that he's one of the best in the business at this level, but they need him to show up more frequently. A lot of talent out there to help him up top, but where is the chemistry? Where is his striking partner in the connect in the middle of the field? Haven't seen it. It's there, but they got to start pushing to get themselves back into this playoff race.
St. Louis 2-1-1 since the start of June, including that dramatic draw against Sacramento, as well as a devastating loss at home to the first-place Real Monarchs. On the other side, RGV, one more can be said about Gerson Echeverry's side, just downright struggling at the moment, but they're looking to turn it around on the road at Toyota. Meanwhile, Anthony Poulos and St. Louis FC looking to win their first match in the past 3 games. It's St. Louis FC and RGV FC when we come back.
A lottery ticket is so much more than a piece of paper. It's wonder, opportunity, dreams. And not just for players. 100% of the profits from every Missouri lottery ticket you play goes back to schools, teachers, and students. Play it forward with the Missouri Lottery.
When you need quality electrical work for your home or business, look to theelectricalconnection.org. Created as a partnership between IBEW Local 1 electricians and the St. Louis chapter of the National Electrical Contractors Association, the Electrical Connection has been setting the standard for electrical excellence in St. Louis for over 100 years. You can depend on our highly skilled and trained workforce. Your #1 source for quality electrical and communication contractors, electricalconnection.org.
Toyota's Star Spangled Sales Event is here. Enjoy patriotic deals right now on your favorite Toyota models. Choose from the adventurous RAV4, the bold Camry, the family-friendly Highlander, the rugged Tacoma, and the fun Corolla. Don't wait. The Star Spangled Sales Event won't be around forever, and neither will these exceptional deals. Just announced, get $1,750 customer cash on a new 2018 RAV4 or 0.9% APR financing for 48 months. Toyota, let's go places.
No matter who you support in Russia, if you're from St. Louis, that's your team.
He lines this up. He's going to drill it hard. Curling ball, it's in. It's tied to 2-2. What a free kick.
Why only watch soccer on TV when you can experience it live here at Toyota Stadium with St. Louis Football Club?
Here's a chance for St. Louis. Calistri, right side shot, and a goal! Joey Calistri on the backside on the cross.
Back here at Toyota, and we're almost set for kickoff between St. Louis FC and RGV FC. And these two teams have only met twice in club history. Obviously one at the beginning of the season in 2018, first game of the 2018 United Soccer League schedule, and it was Tony Walls with the late equalizer.
And the boys starting week one, it really was a challenge, and right out the gates you saw promising things for these squads, and just unfortunately didn't have a winner in that one, but I'll tell you what, it was a good way to set the tone for the season. The two squads have grown from there, but unfortunately for RGV, the points and metrics just haven't been there. You've seen, again, that they put out the good performances, but just haven't been able to get it on a full 90-minute package.
And now let's take a look at our starting 11, beginning with Gerson Echeverry's RGV. And the starting 11 brought to you by Schlafly Brewerly. And Devin, for RGV, they're giving some youngsters a chance. Bryce Marion had a very good showing against Phoenix Rising. It's actually Nico Cordy getting the start between the sticks, despite Michael Nelson getting Team of the Week honors.
Although this is the lineup card turned into us, it's going to look a little bit different. Kai Green's actually going to be on the outside. Kyle Adams going to shift in. That's a bit an interesting move. Kyle Adams started the year at left back. Sheldon Sullivan comes in. He's a quick, speedy outside back, and he's done a good job holding things down defensively. And he's going to have his hands full tonight, because you take a look up top. We talked about Kyle Gregg. Again, some other pieces here. The lineup cards, the coaches like to mess around with us. Wallfall's going to drop down into the middle. We saw his fantastic free kick to come back last week at Papa Murphy's Park versus Sacramento Republic. He's coming back from injury, and he's been able to control the tempo in the middle of the park. He's going to be the integral piece if St. Louis is going to get things done tonight.
And we are officially underway from Toyota. St. Louis sporting their green, white, and blue kits, moving from left to right. RGV in their white and blue, moving from right to left. Tyler Terrence along with the incomparable Devin Kerr. Glad to have you with us here on ESPN Plus. As right off the bat, a foul is going to be called against RGV, as it was Sam Fink who's sporting the captain's armband. Taken down. St. Louis returning home after Devin mentioned that more than dramatic, it was downright heroic draw against Sacramento at Papa Murphy's Park. And we were talking with Anthony Poulos, you know, he said obviously the first 60 minutes or so weren't the best and he wasn't exactly happy with it, but you know, he couldn't just say enough about the team's resolve, the team's character, and you know, while it wasn't the best 90-minute performance by any stretch of the imagination, it just showed a lot of grit, a lot of character, and that's what it's going to take for this side if they are going to qualify for the first time ever in franchise history.
That's the biggest thing for St. Louis, is when you take a look at them and you go back, and you're right, it was an abysmal performance to start the game, and Anthony admitted that. He said, listen, you know, we started flat, the energy wasn't there. He talks about how at the end of the game that he won't get into it with the boys. We'll kind of expand on that a little bit later, but look, like you said, character, pride, passion, they showed all of it, albeit for about 10 or 15 minutes, but look, it was enough to get them back into contention of the game, and just to be able to get that equalizer late. Sometimes games like that can be a catalyst to push you to greater things above and beyond, and this is an opportunity for them. If you take a look at the rundown in their schedule, they've got RGV, and then they're going to deal with Vegas and Tulsa. Those are 3 games right there that are very manageable, a great opportunity for 9 points.
They're manageable, but Anthony Poulos having nothing but respect for this RGV side, and he said when looking at tape of this team that they really have had some close battles. I mean, they drew with Phoenix Rising FC and were able to shut them out. That's the leading scoring team in the United Soccer League, not just the Western Conference. Against OKC Energy FC in 2016. You know, it is going to take a little bit of time. A decent move from Quintanilla, who got the attention of head referee Lucas Spalla. And Quintanilla able to win a free kick for the away side. And there's a look at first-year head coach Gerson Echeverry, who is originally from Patterson, New Jersey. Played his college ball with the Seton Hall Pirates in Orange, New Jersey, and was an All-American in his own right as a player. And was more than thrilled to be able to take a step up in the coaching world and to move from collegiate to professional. And there is the man in charge of St. Louis FC, also in his first season, Anthony Poulos. As this one nodded back across by Adams, dealt with by Calistri. Dumped back in, and it'll be easy work for Tomas Gomez. Gomez, of course, back-to-back Golden Glove winner with Bob Lilly and the Rochester Rhinos. Now over with the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, formerly known as the Pittsburgh River Rhinos. Calistri looking to take on Sheldon Sullivan. Try to square it back for Lewis Hilton, ends up giving it away. Now here's Zaldivar. Over for Bryce Marion. These two gave Phoenix all sorts of problems back at HEB. Marion, great little stutter step around Aiden Stanley. Marion into the area. And Sean Rellens with an important touch.
It's going to be a fun matchup on that side of the pitch. Bryce Marion, speedster, going against Aiden Stanley. He's going to be departing in the next couple weeks. We'll see he's committed to Duke University, going to continue his career there before he moves up to the professional ranks.
Almost a near giveaway again from St. Louis in the middle of the park. Sean Reynolds dishing it the other way, helped along by Kadeem Dakers. Here's Seth Rudolph. Intended for Greg.
Tell you what, Tyler, 6 minutes in, something that we haven't talked about, and you can see it. The sun, that's going to be in effect here as the set slowly makes its way into our picture, and you can see everything that's going on. It's a great step there in the back by Omar Ontiveros, but both goalkeepers going to have to deal with it for at least the first half. Once things start to turn the corner and you approach the second part of the 90 minutes, it'll settle down a little bit, but both sides having to deal with the shadows. When the ball's moving in and out of the shadows like that, it's very difficult to track, albeit you're dealing with traffic with all the players and stuff, but things going on with the weather nowadays, obviously each goalkeeper just kind of shift their tactics a little bit, get their body behind it, maybe not as tight when they catch a ball, more likely to punch something away in a situation like that.
Aiden Stanley. Nothing doing there as Seth Rudolph forced to give chase. Great crowd here at Toyota on a beautiful Saturday evening, albeit a hot one as well. And we will have some hydration breaks, or at least that's the word pitch side at the moment. Manuel Kavita. Marion helping it along, and both teams just sort of feeling each other out in the middle third of the park at the moment. Rudolph on the turn, nicely done. Dakers around the first defender. And just swarmed by 4 white jerseys. Decent attempt by RGV to try to play out of the back quickly and spark the counterattack. Over for Sullivan. Loves to get forward from that outside back position for Jerson Echeverri. Here's Chuy Enriquez. Cuts it back for Sullivan. Zaldivar. Perea. RGV were about 1 pass away from being in. And they'll stay with the South Texas club.
There's a fun matchup brewing on the left side of the pitch too. You've got Enriquez, who we've seen some highlight-worthy things from him in the past. And interestingly enough, Anthony Pulis has moved Sam Fink into the marking back position on the right side of the pitch. So center back and the captain, who's primarily deployed in the middle of the pitch to kind of control everything. He's moved Kavita in and got Sam Fink on the right-hand side. That's a much different position than he's used to being in.
Aguilar able to get there, over for Marion. Bryce Marion working on Stanley. And great cover from Sean Reynolds. Came over from Louisville City FC in the offseason. Louisville, of course, with their last game with their head coach James O'Connor, is going to head over to Orlando City as Jerson Echeverri looks on. And Interestingly enough, both Louisville City and Orlando City still alive in the U.S. Open Cup, and if both Louisville and Orlando are to win their respective U.S. Open Cup matches, they will meet in the semifinals. Louisville taking on Chicago as this corner bent in.
That happens, you and I are calling in sick. I mean, wait, what?
I'll be at work, I promise.
How about a matchup that would be, huh? It'll be interesting to see down the line if any of his compatriots at Louisville make their way there. James O'Connor, the first one to step up and say that all his boys deserve to be playing at the MLS level, so maybe a little bit of poaching going on.
Will certainly make things a little bit more interesting in the Eastern Conference. He's also taking his assistant with him, so it's going to leave a bit of a hole as far as the coaching staff is concerned. George Davis and a number of the other veterans on that side are going to act as the interim head coach. And Anthony Poulos not happy with his team's start. Calistri finding Lewis Hilton. A little bit more energy after the coach. Coach got a bit more involved vocally. Greg, nice little stutter step. Calistri on the first time. Terrific block from Sheldon Sullivan. Now it's Lewis Hilton. A little bit behind Kadeem Dakers. Walt Fall. Most recent hero amongst the St. Louis FC ranks. And Dakers is offside.
Sean, get everybody going!
No, I couldn't have said it better. Wow. You can see the coach, he's not happy with the start by his boys. 12 minutes in and asking Sean Reynolds to get everybody on the same page, pick up the tempo a little bit. You can see RGV controlling the opening 12 minutes or so, and you've seen some tit for tat going back and forth, but you expect Wallfall, Hilton, all those guys to start getting involved a little bit further. Too many opportunities down in the channels for RGV.
Well, when talking with head coach Anthony Poulos earlier this week, very much a coach that believes in the process and the performances rather than the points. And he just hopes that by playing good football and training hard every single day and putting 110% effort in, that the results will come as a byproduct. But that effort, it needs to be there. It was absent in the first 60 minutes against Sacramento. Luckily, they were able to turn it around, and he said after the Dequa goal, both body languages changed from both St. Louis and Sacramento, as there's a good challenge on the outside.
Unfortunately for St. Louis, they've also been on some unfortunate situations and questionable calls by referees down the line, and I get that, but at the same point in time, Lady Luck just hasn't been there either, and Anthony's admitted that. You know, things have happened that are out of their control, variables they can't control at all.
It's Chuy Enriquez. Zaldivar, a little bit of space to work with. Closed down quickly by Wallfall. Of course, missed a large chunk at the beginning of the season due to injury. And was slowly worked back into it, given 60 minutes here and there. The games against Tulsa and leading up to the Sacramento game, but was able to get 90. And they're slowly but surely starting to get their big German center midfielder back to match fitness, as this one whipped in towards the back post, and Tomas Gomez sprawling out, but we'll get a goal kick at the end of the day.
And you know, Tyler, to expand on that a little bit further about Lady Luck and Karma and this, that, and the other, Anthony took us just through the recent games of what gone on where, you know, Real Monarchs came to visit, and they put together a phenomenal performance. I mean, they did not deserve to lose in general, get alone in the manner and they did. A ridiculous penalty kick that's called in the opening 15 minutes. Chandler Hoffman notches that away, and it finishes 1-0. But then you go into things like last week, where you go on the road to Papa Murphy's Park, You come out flat. You go down 2-0. Looks like you have no response whatsoever. Yeah, you're able to get out of there with a point and finish it up at 2-2. And he said, you know what? Maybe karma, what goes around comes around. Things turning the corner a little bit for us. And that's always nice, especially when you start to hit the dog days of September, October.
Well, again, this is a side that has never reached the postseason. They're hoping that Anthony Poulos, who obviously was outstanding with Orlando City B a year ago and was a great player in his own right, will be able to right the ship and get them to the promised land. That is some serious October football. But it is a process, as Anthony has told us so many times. But in order to get there, it's going to take beating teams like RGV at home relatively handedly, but they've struggled in the opening 15 minutes or so here at Toyota. And before the Phoenix Rising loss, this was a St. Louis team that was unbeaten at Toyota, albeit they have the fewest amount of home goals in the USL with 6. They're actually tied with RGV in that department. Seth Rudolph busy being an irritant along that RGV back line, but can't win it for the club.
And that metric, Tyler, has given them a lot of ties, and it actually puts them in a similar boat to someone that you and I have had a little bit of experience with recently, Bethlehem Steel and Charlotte Independence, where it gets to this point where they have 7-8 game stretches where they're unbeaten and they have great records at home and this, that, and the other, but a tie only gets you so far. And the next thing you know, you've got that 6-7 game run, but other guys around you, that same time frame, maybe they've only won 3, but when you look at the point total, there are head above heels beyond you because of the fact that you continue to tie on a regular basis. So again, it's those tiny little tweaks here and there that are going to enable you to get those 3 points and move up the table.
Currently St. Louis sitting in 9th place on 21 points. Colorado Springs ahead of them on 23. That was a loss that certainly stung for Anthony Poulos' side a few weeks ago when they lost 3-0 to Steve Trichu's side, a team that they're most likely going to be battling with for a playoff position. Colorado Springs missed out by a few points in 2017. Here's a decent turn and an effort that flies over the bar. Came from Aldo Quintanilla.
That's one of the last people that you want to be able to isolate at the top of the box all alone with an opportunity to get a look on your goalkeeper, Tomas Gomez. Back four got to get their communication a little bit tighter in that situation. Number 23, you want him to play with his back to the goal, and you do not want to give him the opportunity to turn. He's such a great distributor, and that's fine if he's looking one way, but you don't want it on the 8x8.
Lewis Hilton came over for Mike Jeffries' Charlotte Independence during the offseason. Charlotte got absolutely drilled by Bethlehem at home today by a score of 4-1. Hilton after the turnover. Lewis Hilton, not his best effort, wasn't able to get it on frame. And Nico Corsi telling RGV to settle down a little bit in the middle of the park because those are the types of turnovers that can lead to goals on the other end.
Kadeem Dakers gets dragged down behind this play as well. And you can see St. Louis, that was good. There was a nice step up, pressure applied in the middle, and they went the other direction. That's something they need to consider. I've really liked in the past, when you take a look at the tape, they do a good job playing that high line and putting the press together. Anthony Poulos, though, because of elements here and there, will pull that back a little bit. So if you don't see it on a regular basis and only use sparingly, don't be surprised.
Good win from Kyle Gregg. Seth Rudolph, is he in? The answer is no. He's claiming he was dragged down by Kyle Adams, but the ball is already gone.
That's what St. Louis is looking for. They've thrown Kyle Gregg up top by himself, and Seth Rudolph is sitting just underneath. So it is a 4-4-2, but Rudolph sitting a little bit deeper. That one stacked formation right up top allows you for the run-on opportunities in those long ball situations.
He is just an absolute pest. Every opposition that he faced, Seth Rudolph. Gregg wins it, Kalistri keeps it. Reynolds, much better rhythm from St. Louis. Aiden Stanley. Stanley tries to bend it in, forcing some defending out of Kai Green. Quintanilla over for Bryce Marion. He's looking to show off his pace in a foot race with Sean Reynolds. Marion. It's a huge run, but it comes to nothing in the end. Good work from Reynolds, who is virtually step for step with the pacey Marion.
St. Louis lucky on the deflection as well, as Marion got down into the corner. Tries to play this ball back across to the penalty mark, and it takes a nice little deflection off the trailing Reynolds. It's good defending.
Good work from Gregg, brings it down nicely with a deft touch. Here's Dakers. It'll fall for Rudolph. He's trying to get it over for Kyle Gregg, but Kyle Adams with a very important touch. Kavita finding Kalistri. Northwestern product. Goes back for Fink, who'll go all the way back for Tomas Gomez. Well, they are not afraid to keep it, Anthony Poulos' side. Dakers. Maybe held on to it just a bit too long. Hilton cleans up the mess and finds Fink. Now it's Kalistri. Plenty of space. Joey Kalistri over for Kadeem Dakers. Dakers! Oh, that's great defending from Kai Green. St. Louis were lucky to get out of pressure there. And it was Kadeem Dakers in plenty of space, but the New Jersey native Kai Green with some bullish defending.
Great job by the home squad, and this really starts in the back with Sam Feek and Fanny Kavita. You can see the good combination play allows that outlet pass to come back through the middle of the park. And when they go in transition and they continue with the pace, it allows Kadeem Dakers on the left-hand side to get isolated in those one-on-one situations. That's what Anthony Poulos is looking for.
For every goal scored by St. Louis FC off a corner kick, Electro Savings will be donating $100 to a St. Louis charity. And it's Hilton standing on top of it. And it'll be Hilton whipping it in, but not his best delivery.
And Tyler, right at the end of that play, when Kai Green rotated out to go one-on-one with Dakers, you could see him a little bit tentative when he's getting up. You could see him in like, maybe the inside of the, on the thigh area, possibly your groin. You could see just a little bit tight, so keep an eye on him because that is an integral piece to Jerson Echeverry and his squad. Kai Green hasn't been getting as many looks as we thought he would at the beginning of the season, coming in saying that he was on the Houston Dynamo radar and has just faded a little bit due to performances by the likes of Manny Padilla. And again, they've rotated some pieces around, so a good opportunity for Kai Green. Would hate to see him step out with an injury. And there's a good look at the headman, Jerson Echeverry, who again has been moving so many pieces around.
Here's Aguilar on the first time. Stanley got a block to it. I didn't think that shot was going to end up bothering Gomez in the end. Look at work from the Duke commit. Well, how happy do you think John Kerr, the head coach of Duke men's soccer, is going to be that Aiden Stanley is getting a run in the USL during the offseason, trading it in for the summer workout packet?
He's one of those ones that you'd like to keep around selfishly, but at the same point in time, in experience, he's probably going to get a few more reps than he's used to once he gets to Duke University, probably a regular starter there.
Free header, spilled by Gomez initially, and held in the end. It was Ontiveros who was able to get there for RGV, albeit the header was from about 15 yards out.
That's actually a conversation that you and I have had before with a few coaches in this league about when you get these youngsters like an Aiden Stanley. Here's the corner that just happened. You can see in the middle, Ontiveros trying to, a little 50-50 ball, a little bit further. Hard to get enough power in behind in that situation. But you've got these young guys that you would love to keep around you, but they get in opportunities where they can play more often, and their experience just continues to develop. So maybe a year or 2 years down the line, they come back in and have a little bit larger of a presence for your club.
Hilton gives it away. Chewy Enriquez taking the space, give it to him. Chewy on the move. Look at the pace. Gets it over for Marion. Stanley closing him down. Service right into the hands of Gomez. Fink. Good ball in. Greg settles it. Bit too much on it for Seth Rudolph.
About 4 minutes to water break.
With Corey Herzog still on the injured list. Seth Rudolph, Kyle Gregg still trying to develop some sort of chemistry. And Jerson Echeverry's side still trying to develop any sort of cohesion that'll lead to 3 points. Only win coming at home against Orange County of all teams on April 25th. The 2-0 win with Memo Rodriguez and Aldo Quintanilla, the goal scorers. That started a 6-match unbeaten streak. Obviously, the next 5 matches were draws for Jerson Echeverry's club. But the next 3 would all be losses. RGV sitting just a hair above Tulsa at the bottom of the table on 11 points. Tulsa getting their first win of the season.
And Tyler, to expand on that a little bit, obviously the win was phenomenal, but if you take a look at their other results, especially at home, and you touched on this at the top of the broadcast, they struggle on the road. Decent performance so far, but they're 1-1-5, and their only loss was to a T2 squad who is obviously much different than the look that we saw last year. Now they've been fading as of late and moving a little bit further down the Western Conference table, but that was a 1-0 nail-biter, and it just goes back to the point that, again, the talent is there, but they just haven't been able to execute on a regular basis. And they can continue performances like this over the course of 90 minutes, you would expect much better results.
Adams up for the header. Fink. Nearly a half an hour in. Tyler Terrens along with former German pro Devin Kerr. Fenton, Missouri is the location. Toyota Stadium. And a big 3 points on the line. Hydration break should be right around the corner with temperatures well above 90 degrees here in Missouri. Calistri in for Rudolph. Be a bit too ambitious for Seth Rudolph. And the foul's going to be called against Seth. Maybe a bit frustrated with his pass, and Chuy Enriquez with some solid work. And there is our hydration break for the first half. And both Anthony Poulos and Gerson Echeverry will have an opportunity to talk to the troops. The third time all-time meeting between these two teams. Obviously, with St. Louis's realignment year after year, Eastern Conference to Western Conference, these two teams have only met 2 times before tonight, and the second time was back on March 18th, first game of the USL season. Tony Walls with the late equalizer for the Chupacabras. And then we turn back the clocks to 2016. Irvin Herrera, 14 goals on the season, and how about this one, also a late equalizer. Think that one USL goal of the week?
That's just sensational. Scintillating stuff from Herrera, and you can hear it in the club. They just consider one of their all-time amazing goals throughout, and you get a good look at it there. The angle on the camera work is absolutely phenomenal, just picking out that far post. And you know, it started flat. Again, another flat start for Anthony Poulos and his boys, but I'll tell you what, they've recovered quite well. You've seen them start to click a little bit more. They're finding the space. They're getting into the final third. And one of the most critical things you could say about them going forward offensively was that they were a little bit too one-dimensional in their efforts. That hasn't been the case here tonight. You've seen some good wing play, a nice combination from the outside backs, getting into the middle and then pushing the ball back out to the sides. And sometimes you've seen Rudolph slide up underneath, some flick-ons by Kyle Gregg. So regardless of which direction you're going, they're showing you a multitude of options.
Well, the fans, and particularly the St. Louligans, taking in the scenes here in Fenton, Missouri. And I must admit that Chupacabras is not the official nickname of St. Louis FC. I had a conversation with a couple of the St. Louligan members that when they originally formed the supporters group and were having a conversation with the ownership of St. Louis FC, they were trying to figure out what a proper nickname might be for the club, and they threw out the name the Chupacabras, and obviously the ownership turned it down. But amongst those fellows and ladies who partake in these sort of festivities for St. Louis FC and provide an electric atmosphere here week in and week out, that is the official, unofficial name of the St. Louis Football Club. You know what a Chupacabra is?
Tell me.
I wish I could. It's like a mythical creature. It like sucks the life out of you.
Is that what it is?
Something along those lines.
All right. Well.
It's like a mini demon of sorts. So you can understand why the ownership wasn't necessarily keen on making that the official nickname of the club. Gerson Echeverry and company asking for the foul. Not going to receive one, as our crowd mics are stationed perfectly in between both coaches, Anthony Poulos and Gerson. Hilton. Big sweeping ball over for Kadeem Dakers. Not a bad one. Ontiveros only as far as Dakers. Kadeem. Stanley, great first touch. Over for Wallfall. Calistri. Same thing, able to find Seth Rudolph, but closed down quickly by Pablo Aguilar. Chuy Enriquez.
Watch out.
This is good build-up from RGV. Perea over for Marion. Bryce Marion slides it across. It's loose in front. Aiden Stanley barely got a deflection to it. And a goal kick coming up for St. Louis, who are exposed at the back.
You just saw a great look at the explosiveness that this Toro squad carries, and Perea coming up right through the middle. St. Louis getting caught on the counterattack. And just moments ago, when you're down in the other direction, they did a good job moving the ball into the final third. But the combination play, you saw Joey Calistri kind of stepping in a little bit. When the ball comes to Fink, he sprays it back in. Calistri sprays outside, and there's loads of space down in the channel, but he just stopped his run. So Hilton and all the boys in the middle couldn't continue the movement down into the corner. As they start to turn and go the other direction, that's when the counterattack happened.
Seems like pace has slowed down a bit since the hydration break. Stanley. Decent ball in, and Cordy off of his line. Looking to distribute quickly. Did you ever play with a hydration break?
If the listeners could only see my face
I
looking
know.
at you right now.
I wish I could describe it. You're just giving me daggers.
I've actually been asked this question on air before, and it's it's so difficult to answer without sounding rash, we'll say. I grew up in South Florida, 100-degree weather, 80% humidity. We didn't get hydration breaks.
What about in Germany?
No. That's not a real question.
No, man. What if there's a early summer game or late summer game, mid-August? All right, whatever, man.
I'll tell you in a minute.
I'd rather you not.
On the reverse side of things, you have to be understanding of the different climates and environments that everybody's in. For instance, you're dealing with heat and humidity now, and then next week you have to go to Colorado and play Colorado Springs, and you're playing thousands of feet above sea level. You don't get a break in that environment. You don't say, oh, your blood's thin or whatever it may be, and you have to slow down. So I do understand the health concerns behind it, so I totally respect that aspect of it. But at the same point in time, I feel like if they're going to do it for one thing, they should do it for all of them. Otherwise, just back off of it, Health is one thing, but this isn't a dangerous amount of heat right now. We're not talking 110 degrees with 80% humidity. It's hot. And I'm sure there's plenty of a person out there that are listening right now are probably going to disagree with me, and they have every right to. It's just my personal opinion.
Fair enough.
But I'm probably right.
When are you not?
Oh, ask Casey.
Who?
Yeah, exactly.
The warden.
Yeah, the warden. We're not there yet. A couple more months.
That's a nasty challenge. Foul called in favor of St. Louis. Pablo Aguilar. Pleading with the fourth official.
Well, he's not happy with the challenge on the back end. He thinks Wallfall hits him in the face intentionally. He doesn't. His body's just falling through. Wallfall obviously has a huge frame and just coming back to receive the ball. And it is definitely a foul by Aguilar. And keep an eye on the space, especially on the right-hand side here. You see Fink pushing up really high, and now you're seeing Calistri go and collect the ball. Opening 30 minutes or so, he was very quiet in his efforts, almost dormant on the right-hand side. As Fink moves up and Calistri steps in, he needs to make himself available in those situations. That allows other opportunities around the field to open up from a distribution standpoint.
Aguilar, 23 years old, from Guatemala City. Actually won the 2014 NCAA championship with Todd Wharton and Eric Bird. Bird, of course, signed a contract with the Houston Dynamo. He's been with RGV a couple times this season. But much more regular Todd Wharton signings in South Texas. Hilton. Not a bad ball in. Header one, but safely into the hands of Nico Corti. Good work from Perea. And Devin, you mentioned Kai Green and that hip flexor groin issue, and you can see he's not nearly as explosive as we're used to seeing.
He's laboring every single time we've seen him with a little bit of space in front of him. He's got to try and open that gate up a little bit. He's wincing, and as the camera peers over, you can see just a lot of tension on his face, frustrating for sure. And right now you're just as a coach, from a tactical standpoint, you're trying to get into half. You're most likely to make a change at halftime or in the around the 60th minute mark anyway. So you're just trying to get him through the next 6-7 minutes, get the job done, and then figure out what move you want to make.
Sam Fink. Little 1-2 with Calistri. Now it's Lewis Hilton. Good build up here from St. Louis, but it's rushed by Lewis Hilton. And now it's Chuy Enriquez going the other way, and he is ripped down by Sam Fink. That is most certainly going to get the attention of Lucas Spala. And it's probably going to be yellow for the captain. And indeed, it's mustard for number 4, Sam Fink.
Yeah, Fink just getting caught a little bit there. He knew right away. You could read his lips to the referee. I got it, I got it. He knew he was in the wrong, and he's just tracking back here. See Lewis Hilton coming across as well. There's really no reason for him to go to around. Lewis tracking and Wall-Fall stepping up into the space as well. But again, you've been going for 40 minutes strong, getting a little tired, mentally fatigued as well, and that just got the best of him.
So first yellow card of the game issued to the skipper. About 5 minutes remaining plus stoppage time in this first half. 0-0 between St. Louis FC and RGV FC. Really not many chances that come to mind. I think it's fair to say that St. Louis have had, I guess, the better of the play, but there have been times when RGV has threatened on the counter. This one will go all the way back for Tomas Gomez. Sullivan. Enriquez trying to slide it through. Solid defending from St. Louis, who stepped up at the right time. Win from Sheldon Sullivan gets the St. Louis staff off their seats, asking for a foul. Dear me. Gaffer's not happy.
No, wouldn't want to get into it with him.
Sullivan would let it run through. Quintanilla, fall for Perea. Marion. And Enriquez missed a couple of updates from around the USL. FC Cincinnati was in a one-goal battle with Ottawa Fury. New York Red Bulls 2 and Louisville City FC draw 2-2 at Slugger in James O'Connor's farewell match. 80th minute equalizer. Lancaster scored a goal that's most likely going to be goal of the week in the USL. If you want to go check it out, you can catch a sneak preview on the USL Twitter page. Not exactly the way you want to send off your manager who brought the USL Championship and the USL Cup to Slugger. But such is life sometimes. And New York Rebels too. One of the stranger teams in the Eastern Conference. They've been out of sorts recently. I mean, 2-2 draw against Bethlehem Steel. They gave up 2 goals in the last 5 minutes as Kadeem Dakers is dragged down by Kai Green. And Green has a few words with Dakers.
This is a nasty challenge on Kadeem, and you see him go to ground right away, and it's right on that shoulder too. His entire body kind of imploded as he got pulled down by Kai Green. And it's classy by Kai to step over and show some sportsmanship, but you see he gets behind him, and just the way he lands awkward on that shoulder, he goes to it right away.
And he is in some pain, barely able to roll over. There's only 4 field substitutes available for Anthony Poulos' side. Ledbetter, Walls, Culbertson, and Austin Martz. I would have to imagine it would be Martz to come off the bench and replace Dakers if he's unable to continue.
Are we going with 3 or 2?
And of course the backup keeper, Jake Fenlison, is available. As Dakers is being worked on by the athletic trainer.
3 minutes, 4 minutes, what are we going with?
You can see him really working on that, and keep an eye, Tyler, although
How many minutes?
I get the Martz move. Also, Culbertson, they use him a lot on the left-hand side. They'll move out of the marking back position and use him in the left midfield. Anthony has moved him up a couple times so that he can get reps from both Kyle Culbertson and Aiden Stanley. So that's another option for Poulos if he wants to go that direction.
And Brian Bounds, the athletic trainer, checking in on Dakers. As you can tell, he's not exactly moving that right arm all that much.
A yellow card caution has been issued by the referee to Rio Grande Valley's number 2, Kai Green, in first half stoppage time. The fourth official has indicated 3 minutes.
And Kai Green was issued mustard for that challenge on Kadeem Dakers. So now it's Sam Fink and Kai Green who have both been shown yellow cards for St. Louis and RGV respectively. Corti off of his line and able to hang on to it with Seth Rudolph in the neighborhood. Corti, quick distribution out of the reach of Chewy Enriquez. It's been strange. Corti, a lot of times after catching the ball, will pump his hands as if he's saying to slow down, but then he's the one who ends up going quickly the other way.
And that's a little bit of a mind game. And sometimes as a goalkeeper, you'll do that to kind of mess with the squad on the other side and maybe think, oh, okay, we're going to take a little bit of time off the clock here and then try and catch them in transition. But Nico Corti, the Stanford product, more than capable of kind of messing with guys in 2 different directions. It's been difficult for him this year because he is such a talented goalkeeper, but been hung out to dry on more than one occasion.
Aguilar along for Marion. Aiden Stanley closing down on the speedster. Marion towards the back post. Enriquez able to get a clean header off with Sam Fink defending well. Calistri, Rudolph able to keep it in play. St. Louis on the move. Seth Rudolph. And the dreaded shot that goes out for a throw-in.
I'm pretty sure his teammates are going to give him a hard time on the training ground after that one.
Kadeem Dakers appears to be all right. Sharp look from Anthony Poulos over on the touchline.
Oh, he definitely gets one of my votes, one of them, for best dressed in the USL.
Well, that's going to do it for the first half. Lucas Spalla brings it to a close. Anthony Poulos and St. Louis FC do have some talking to do in the dressing room as it was a rather lackluster start and finish to the first 45 minutes. RGV, meanwhile, on the road and just 1 win to their name this season. Are probably happy right now with the way that this game has gone. They've defended well and countered when they've had the opportunity, but Sam Fink and company feel like they can do a lot better in the second half. Stay with us. We have highlights, stats, a look around the USL, and oh so much more coming up.
Woo! Yeah!
The best things in life are free, but you can give them to the birds and bees.
There's really only one place where the carpets are always red and the stars are everywhere you look. There's no place like Hollywood. Hollywood Casino St. Louis.
When you need quality electrical work for your home or business, look to the electricalconnection.org. Created as a partnership between IBEW Local 1 electricians and the St. Louis chapter of the National Electrical Contractors Association, the Electrical Connection has been setting the standard for electrical excellence in St. Louis for over 100 years. You can depend on our highly skilled and trained workforce, your number one source for quality electrical and communication contractors, electricalconnection.org.
Toyota's Star Spangled Sales Event is here. Enjoy patriotic deals right now on your favorite Toyota models. Choose from the adventurous RAV4, the bold Camry, the family-friendly Highlander, the rugged Tacoma, and the fun Corolla. Don't wait. The Star Spangled Sales Event won't be around forever, and neither will these exceptional deals. Just announced, get $1,750 customer cash on a new 2018 RAV4 or 0.9% APR financing for 48 months. Toyota, let's go places.
No matter who you support in Russia, if you're from St. Louis, that's your team.
He lines this up. He's going to drill it hard. Curling ball. It's in. It's tied to 2-2. What a free kick.
Why only watch soccer on TV when you can experience it live here at Toyota Stadium with St. Louis Football Club?
Here's a chance for St. Louis. Calistri, right side shot and a goal! Joey Calistri on the backside on the cross.
St. Louis FC tailgate party at Toyota Stadium has grown bigger and better each year since the club joined the league in 2015, and the St. Louligans have led the way. We check out their pregame ritual in tonight's edition of Tales from the Tailgate.
And tonight's group leader of the match is Tim Riker. For supporting St. Louis.
Hi, St. Louis FC fans. Welcome to another episode of Tales from the Tailgate. We are at the biggest, the best tailgate ever. It is the Louligans. Tell me, how long have you guys been a part of the Louligans?
We've been around here for probably, because was this year 4 for the pro team, so probably about 5 years.
I actually started hanging out with the guys for AC St. Louis days, so it's been about 7. It's been about 7.5 years.
The Louligans not only support this incredible organization, but you guys also help charities and local organizations here in St. Louis. Can you tell me about those?
So we really think it's important to give back to lots of local charities, and we started kind of doing this a couple of years ago. When we had the big Pizzagate thing with Louisville City, where we started raising money for the food pantries. Then we started doing a charity du jour every game, and now it's gotten bigger. We're getting more matches. A lot of our food, we get donations then from the tailgate, and so every week we've been raising more and more money for different charities across the St. Louis area.
What are some must-have foods that we have to have at this tailgate?
So today's theme was an Illinois wedding. So there is salad, muscatoli, and fried chicken.
We didn't bring anything, but can we hang out and maybe chow down with you guys?
Go for it.
Of course.
Any STLFC fan, they can come down here, they can hang out.
Anybody.
Yep, anybody. Even if you're a supporter for the other team, everybody's always welcome down here.
That's awesome. We guys, thank you so much for what you do for our team and the St. Louis community. It means so much to us.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Terrific stuff from his hand, and St. Louis FC's next match is going to be on the road in Sin City as they take on Ricardo Farino and the high-flying Las Vegas Lights FC. And never know what you're going to get with Isidro Sanchez's side, and that's why you should probably tune in for this St. Louis match, which is going to be Saturday, July 7th at Cashman, 10 p.m. Central Time. Carlos Alvarez and this wacky football club will be on display against St. Louis Football Club, and we'll take a look at Anthony Poulos' side's upcoming schedule after Las Vegas. The next 3 out of 4 are at home. Those home games are going to be against Tulsa, Orange County, and Seattle Sounders 2. Throw in a road trip to Nevada as well to take on Reno 1868 and a very sound attacking club.
You got to get 9 points out of 5 of those fixtures, and you would most likely see it come from the Vegas, the Roughnecks, and the Sounders. And St. Louligans, make no mistake about it, I have reached out to Anthony Pulis and let him know about the shenanigans that go on at Cashman Field. And I'll tell you what, if you can get a result, albeit even a tie, 1 point, on the road at Reno or even home versus Braden Cloutier in Orange County, that's a win in your book because they're sitting above you in the table. So as long as they don't distance themselves, that's a good look.
Orange County coming off of a tough 1-0 loss to Phoenix Rising, where Cody Wakasa was sent off in the 35th minute, and it was Chris Cortez who got things started in the 13th, but Phoenix holding on. And we'll step aside for another few moments, but we'll take a look at some of the best moments from just 1 week in the USL. It's week 15. Take a look.
A salute is certainly in the works. Thank you, Marcel. Marcel Schaefer playing it. Can he service one in? Goal! Leon Taylor from Marcel Schaefer.
There's no question we've had our fair share of impressive free kicks this season.
Van Aving. Off the crossbar and in, and it's 1-0 Reno.
Here comes Malcolm, takes a shot, and he scores! Shane Malcolm off the free kick, puts Switchbacks FC on top.
He lines this up, he's going to drill it hard. Curling ball, that's in, it's tied to 2-2. What a free kick.
Really looks interesting. Here is Kuzay curling it! Sensational strike from Kuzay! Enter now, pocket of space. Deflected strike, that's a fantastic save.
Dykstra just rolled through Mark Boston loose in the area.
Left foot, Van Okel had to come up with the save.
Good build-up play, Wakaso shoots, great save by Nelson.
Now it's going to be Bajevin, and out sprawled Gomez comes up with a big 6.
In space. This is played back across for White. Saved by Crapo. Sanovic on his left. Seth Sanovic.
Shot on goal, it's in. Cameron Owasa with number 6 on the year.
Cipollani staying with it. Cipollani back across, yes! And how about North Carolina FC?
Got some help. This is a shot that finds the back of the net. Cutler last man back, and it will be Reed who will score again. Reed inside the 18. Left-footed strike, and it's a hat trick. For number 30.
Shot comes on, and Akira able to use his fists.
Omar can't finish. Great save with the left foot there by Marcinkowski.
Back here at Toyota, terrific stuff from the USL as always, and we'll take a look at the USL Game of the Week schedule. Indy 11 playing host to Ottawa this Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can catch it with Mike Watts and the guy who's sitting right next to me, Devin Kerr, OKC Energy FC, hosting Las Vegas Lights and all that comes with the club out of Sin City. And probably the most intriguing game on this page, FC Cincinnati hosting Charlotte Independence at Nippert. It's the Queen City Cup. Devin, we talked about this during the Bethlehem-Charlotte game, but FC Cincinnati, I mean, it's always a good game between these two, just having it be, a rivalry.
And you got to go to Nippert. If you're Mike Jeffries, after the shellacking you took in Lehigh today versus Bethlehem Steel, you got to get back on track. And their schedule after this game doesn't get any easier. They're going to have to deal with Louisville. They have to deal with the Tampa Bay Rowdies. So, again, a couple tough fixtures coming up for them. Sitting in a nice spot in 5th right now, but a lot of work left to be done.
Well, and everybody loves goals, so why don't we take a look at some of the goal leaders in the United Soccer League. 2 of them include Thomasina Voltson as well as Carlton Belmar. 9 goals on this season. However, we do have some players who are catching up to them. Chris Cortez scoring his 8th of this season last night, and earlier today, Jorge Herrera salvaging some sort of pride for the Independents against Bethlehem, as Devin mentioned, scoring his 8th goal of the season as well. Jason Johnson sitting on 7, so there are plenty of players around the Western Conference as well as the Eastern who are trying to catch both Belmar and Ina Voltson for the ever-elusive Golden Boot in the USL.
You almost thought it was going to happen last night for Ina Voltson after Phoenix Rising went down to 10 men after the red card on Cody Wakasa, but Braden Cloutier, they just could not get it together. Credit to the Rising at home, able to keep things together, and take a look at that. The difference in the metrics. Belmar, 9 games. Ina Voltson, 15 games, and eerily similar statistics.
And basically half of Belmar's goals came in the first 2 games of the season when he scored 2 braces. So, I mean, if Belmar was playing 15 games throughout the course of the season, this graphic might look a little bit different, and it just might be one big page of Carlton Belmar's face. And who wouldn't want to look at that? Well, we're almost ready for the second half kickoff, and when we come back, we'll have stats and highlights from the first half, but spoiler alert, there weren't too many. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Toyota's Star Spangled Sales Event is here. Enjoy patriotic deals right now on your favorite Toyota models. Choose from the adventurous RAV4, the bold Camry, the family-friendly Highlander, the rugged Tacoma, and the fun Corolla. Don't wait. The Star Spangled Sales Event won't be around forever, and neither will these exceptional deals. Just announced, get $1,750 customer cash on a new 2018 RAV4 or 0.9% APR financing for 48 months. Toyota, let's go places.
The best things in life are free, but you can give them to the
in Russia. If you're from St. Louis, that's your team.
Line this up. He's going to drill it hard. Curling ball. It's in. It's tied to 2-2. What a free kick.
Why only watch soccer on TV when you can experience it live here at Toyota Stadium with St. Louis Football Club?
There's a chance for St. Louis. Calistri, right side shot, and a goal! Joey Calistri on the box.
Almost ready for the second half here in Fenton, Missouri. Tyler Terrens along with the incomparable Devin Curran will take a look at some of the best moments from the first half. And as I just mentioned a few seconds ago, really not many of them. And Devin, can we sort of decipher why neither of these teams have been able to muster up really anything of any sort of substance?
Offensively, the looks are actually there. You got to give credit on the defensive side of the ball. And credit to the outside backs of St. Louis. Sam Fink, makeshift outside back tonight, moving from the center back position to marking back on the right side. And he's really done a good job. He's going up against Enriquez and Stanley on the other side versus Bryce Marion. Outside of this run where he gets to the byline and it goes off Sean Reynolds, really didn't see him much. He was shut down. And it was kind of tit for tat going in each and every direction. You saw everybody kind of get on the action. The middle of the park turned into a little bit of a melee. St. Louis tried to figure out how to utilize the wings. You saw that towards the second part of the first half. And Kadeem Dakers, like to see him get the ball more. And unfortunately, we're down to the injury. We'll take a look at that in a second. But you saw him, Kai Green, struggling physically, mentally, and the pace of Dakers causing a lot of frustration. Wouldn't be shocked to see Kai Green come out. But then Zaldivar got involved, plays a good ball in. And this is the header from Omar and Taveros. And you can just see, it's a good ball to the back post, but it's really difficult for him with his momentum to get anything behind it. And as it makes its way across, Fanuel Kavita just doing a good job keeping a body on him, unable to get something across the goal on Tomas Gomez.
Tomas Gomez didn't really have to make any saves worth note. And then Chuy Enriquez brought down from behind by Sam Fink. That would be the first yellow card of the game. And then eventually Kai Green would be shown mustard as well for this challenge on Dakers. And Dakers would eventually be all right after getting checked on by the athletic trainer from St. Louis Football Club, Brian Bounds. But as Devin mentioned, Kai Green struggling a little bit physically as well as mentally as we're officially underway for the second half here at Toyota. And hopefully we'll see the game open up a little bit more here in the second. As Lewis Hilton getting an early touch. And Joey Calistri with a glorious nutmeg over on the far side, but stood up by Sheldon Sullivan. And Devin, we saw a number of facial expressions from Anthony Poulos in the first half, none of which were exactly happy ones. What do you think the message was at halftime?
I'm sure he's frustrated with the ref. That's something we get every game from Anthony, and I can understand that. The referees let a couple things go, but I'll tell you what, he's done it for both sides, so it's not the end of the world. He's letting the boys play a little bit, and that's not the worst thing. It kind of opens things up for him, but he's frustrated with the decision making, and I get that because I mentioned in the first half, the outside backs, you can see right now Aiden Stanley at the forefront of our picture. He's pushing a high line. That enables your center backs to push up a little bit. And as Stanley goes, he needs the shifting of the outside midfielders to step in and give him a look at something. We didn't really see it a lot in the first half from Kadeem Dakers or Joey Calistri. They were more isolated in one-on-one situations. They need to look for distribution of that ball more often.
Here's Quintanilla off to the races. Sean Reynolds with some work to do. Reynolds brings him down. It's right outside of the box, and it is going to be mustard for the center back, Sean Reynolds, as well. Quintanilla showing off his pace and getting rewarded for it, and a dangerous set piece coming up for RGV in the opening moments of the second half.
Quintanilla just finding space to run onto this ball, and it's a good ball down, and again, RGV going in transition, tiny little step over, and Reynolds just dives in, and that's just frustration by the defender. He knows he's beat, just trying to get a last-ditch effort in. Unfortunately, it's just a little, too late.
Some defensive organizing to do for St. Louis. Wall fall amongst those trying to organize. All hands on deck for the home side. Zaldivar on top of the free kick. Zaldivar whips it across. Still loose in the shot from Adams over the bar, but it did take a deflection and a corner kick coming up for RGV.
A different look than what you might think you would see in that situation, something lofted to the far post. And a lot of times they'll try and employ Kyle Adams into that situation, but keeping it low and hard, I don't like it. A little redirect in the other direction almost makes its way back to a shot on goal for Gomez, which deflects over the bar.
So a good start for RGV. All started with that counterattack from Quintanilla, a one-man counterattack as Joey Calistri breaks up this corner kick. Heavy touch, Calistri able to win it. Now it's a foot race with Sheldon Sullivan, but great recovery pace from the outside back. Perea, the skipper for Gerson Echeverri. Kai Green. And Aiden Stanley brings down Bryce Marion.
I don't mind Aiden getting a little touchy-feely on the sideline, throwing his body around a little bit. Fortunately, letting his arms extend a little bit further than he'd like, but it's good stuff from the outside back, making his presence felt. Haven't really seen that from much of him this season. A little bit more explosive in the space and in dead ball situations.
Zaldivar, Quintanilla, Chuy Enriquez. It'll fall for Marion. Back out, Zaldivar on the first time. Didn't get nearly enough on it. Aguilar over for Quintanilla. Now it's the 22-year-old Marion giving chase. Kai Green gets it on his left foot. Enriquez back into the mixer. Just one body in the box for RGV. Clearance only as far as Perea. Kai Green once more. Marion. Back for Zaldivar. Good defending from Wall Fall, and another corner kick coming up. So about 4 minutes of sustained pressure from RGV in St. Louis's defensive third.
You can see they're definitely on their heels here at the start of the second half, and Gerson having a conversation with the Toros exactly what they're going to do differently, and it's probably just the energy that you saw at the start of the first half kind of reverberating here in the opening 5-6 minutes. Keep an eye on that because Anthony Pujols is able to counteract that come the next 15-20 in the first half.
Outswinger Zaldivar. Aguilar. Marion. Perea. Not his best effort. Still bouncing around a wall fall. Showing good strength. Seth Rudolph doesn't get enough on the clearance as he would like. Shot blocked as it's just a scramble in front. Zaldivar. And Tomas Gomez can finally claim the ball for St. Louis FC, and they can push up and out.
You can see Sean Reynolds a little frustrated with himself. It's actually a nice little move. Good thought process, goes up over the top of Bryce Marion, but as he gets around him, his second touch fails him and he has to pull out of the tackle again, sitting on that yellow card. That's something that RGV is going to keep in the back of their minds when they start to attack the center of the St. Louis defense.
Restart comes quickly. Lewis Hilton. Aiden Stanley. A little bit too cute from wall fall. RGV could have a 4-on-2 if they hurry. Over for Aguilar, a heavy touch, and Tomas Gomez off of his line on cue. Good win from Kai Green. Gets the praise of his comrades. And Devin, we talked about Wallfall's fitness earlier in the first half. This will be just his second 90-minute run this season after getting 60 the first couple games that he came back, including the Tulsa match. And you can start to see glimpses of Wallfall maybe not being at 100% just yet.
Well, unfortunately for St. Louis, Wallfall's been he was brought back about a week or two early, Anthony told us, but just thrown into the deep end. And you can see the rust, and the fitness level is going to be the major concern. You saw it on display just moments ago in the counterattacking option right through the middle of the park for RGV. And the Toros will continue to try and exploit that. They don't want to bring fall off, but at the same point in time, you don't want a weak link in the middle of the field, especially from someone like Wallfall, who's such an integral piece, can float in and out of different situations, and we've seen what he can do from the set spot.
Perea. Zaldivar. Long for Sheldon Sullivan. Chuy Enriquez loves these 1v1 types of situations.
What we got? 17.
Quintanilla. Good build up here from RGV. Bryce Marion.
Sub.
And it's offside. And it's going to be Austin Ledbetter coming in. And Wallfall coming out for St. Louis. And Devin, we just saw Wallfall laboring a little bit after he gave up that ball. He didn't exactly sprint back. But the German center midfielder trying to get back to 100% fitness. And it'll be Ledbetter coming on here in the 55th minute.
Not the best of shifts that we've seen from Wallfall, but not the worst either. Just kind of mediocre in his performance here this evening.
And the substitution presented to you by G&W Meats. Ledbetter, 22 years old, from the St. Louis area. Product of the Scott Gallagher Soccer Academy. Attended SIU Edwardsville as Seth Rudolph has a little bit of space but closed down quickly by Omar Ontiveros. Ledbetter attended nearby Christian Brothers High School. He was drafted by FC Dallas, 53rd overall in the 2017 draft. Thumped away by Sam Fink. Well, especially in this type of heat, fresh legs can't be emphasized enough. Well done by Ontiveros. Difficult ball to take. Marion closed down quickly by the likes of Stanley and Kadeem Dakers.
We thank you for your support of St. Louis FC and professional soccer in St. Louis.
Fans, be sure to visit one of the 7 local St. Louis area Toyota dealers. Aguilar. Zaldivar. Back for Bryce Marion. That's Sean Reynolds with a good step and good cover. And a deep throw coming up for the Toros.
And I like the job by Reynolds stepping over, but that's where Aiden Stanley, when he's behind and Reynolds has to shift that player over in the middle of the pitch, he just gives a little shout to his center back and say, hey, coming. That way Reynolds can step up and actually possess the ball as opposed to having to play it out. And that's just a little bit of youth creeping in from Aiden Stanley.
Well done by Kadeem Dakers. Stanley. You can hear Anthony Poulos from the touchline urging his team to come to the left side. Now Lewis Hilton occupies the space. Aiden Stanley. There seems to be some spacing issues on the field right now, Devin.
And you can see it. If that ball comes in early, that ball comes right to Aiden Stanley. He has the opportunity with a flat foot to go forward. He uses his Stanley foot to push it in front of him. But instead, they go one way. When they come back across, Lewis Hilton now has to pull himself out of the middle of the pitch and come and get it to enable himself to distribute it the other way because the passing lane has been closed down. And you can hear that from Anthony Poulos. That's the 3rd or 4th time tonight. You can really see the guys just aren't on the same page.
Dakers taking the space given to him. Seth Rudolph. And RGV will take this all night long. Because even when St. Louis are recycling, it just feels sluggish. Stanley gets it along for Rudolph. Keeps it in play. Or at least he did. And now it's officially over the line.
And you talk about spacing. Take a look defensively for RGV when St. Louis is kind of moving back and forth across the pitch. They are extremely composed. They move into a flat back 4 and they go linear across the middle, 4-4-2, and it's really impressive to watch because they're passing and shifting very impressively. At the same point in time, St. Louis isn't exactly doing themselves any favors when they're going forward. Much more dynamic in the first half, but again, not a lot of opportunities here, and you really haven't seen that thought process creep into their actions going forward.
Zaldivar. Bryce Marion. Working on Aiden Stanley. Oh, it's a terrific challenge for the youngster, the Duke commit, with a devilish tackle.
You're so proud of yourself right now. You're so proud of yourself. But it is a good job. How about him tracking back? Nice shoulder charge right in the middle. And that's how you want to tackle. It's difficult as an outside back and a center back when you get into roles like that, especially inside the box, and you're almost afraid at times to commit yourself. But when you get an opportunity to go head up with someone, Aiden Stanley does it textbook.
More than an hour played here at Toyota. Still no score and relatively no action between St. Louis and RGV. Been a chess match, to say the least. Kyle Gregg, rarely called his name tonight. Great turn from Seth Rudolph. Switches the point of attack. Calais Street. Too many touches. No call from the referee. Aguilar just sheds off Fink. And RGV will slow it down. Or at least they'll try to. Kyle Gregg. Good pursuit. Lewis Hilton. Kadeem Dakers. Dakers towards the back post. And Devin Kerr, I pose the question to you, was that on purpose?
That time it was. That time it definitely was. Previously, no, that was across a couple chances ago that you and I have chatted about before. But I'll tell you what, I was just about to say, don't any of these guys want to run at someone? I mean, you've had a couple of looks. Kyle Gregg just moments ago has the ball in front of him. Tess Corti put something on frame to keep him honest, and Kadeem Dakers takes it to heart right away, gets in a good isolated situation and tries to pick out that far post. But that's what St. Louis needs.
Gregg won't be able to get there, puts in a good challenge. Jerson Echeverry not happy with his team's performance over the past few minutes, as it looks like Manny Padilla is getting ready to come on for the first-year head coach. Dakers claiming it took a touch off of Atoro. Indeed it did, and a corner kick coming up for the home side.
You can expect that to be Kai Green almost certainly. Manny Padilla has really won that starting role after the Dynamo drafted him and Sullivan this year, and the two of them have become such an integral piece to that back line as they shifted Kyle Adam in. And Omar Ontiveros has come back from suspension as well. So Kai Green obviously laboring here with about 25 minutes to go. Echeverry going to make a change.
And this will be an Electro Savings corner kick. Hilton. Sam Fink was there just over his head. Seth Rudolph will be able to keep it in play. Stanley. Kyle Gregg trying to go to work. And that's an interesting call.
a gift. It's Christmas. What do you expect?
Christmas in June?
Yeah. It's Christmas every day.
You lost me.
Well, don't expect Santa to come visit you when you come over to my house.
I never do.
Just salty pizza. Don't question the culinary skills. It's a process.
Well, for those of you who are wondering, Devin Kerr fancies himself as a world-class chef, when in reality he's slightly above average.
I don't know about world-class, but you got to give me some credit. I had one bad experience.
It's a big experience. Here's Greg. And it's going to be a foul. Seth Rudolph holding on to that right foot. It looks like he's just cramping up. Imagine where he would be without the hydration break, Devin.
Well, the other problem they're dealing with is Rudolph just coming back from injury a few weeks ago. I mean, what about the wonder goal that he scored versus Phoenix Rising? A quiet team the entire match. He stepped on at his first touch.
What's the goal?
The phenomenal goal, great header. He just extends himself a little bit. He catches a knock on the foot as well, goes to ground, and then probably immediately starts to cramp. But this is a good opportunity from dead ball situation. Obviously, Aiden Stanley and his left foot, he'd like to have a go. You're going to get a look at exactly how many Nico Cordia is going to ask for in the wall, so what kind of angle they have to work with. We know about wall fall and what he can do with his right foot.
It's still 5.
Looks like both number 5s are getting ready to go for both Gerson Echeverry and Anthony Poulos. It'll be Manny Padilla for RGV and Kyle Culbertson for St. Louis ready to come on. Lewis Hilton and Aiden Stanley standing on top of the set piece.
Watch this. Give me.
Hilton trying to do his best wall fall impression.
I mean, that's the biggest thing. I totally forgot about Lewis Hilton. How bad do I feel? You forget what a great ball striker he is.
Number 94, Seth Rudolph.
Oh, the double scoreboard from the 4th official.
Yeah, that man a raise. Good for you, buddy. And the dexterity with the switch. Got to respect him.
Oh, and the fans certainly respect the effort from Seth Rudolph, who makes way for Kyle Culbertson, who will get an opportunity to perhaps provide a super sub-like moment for St. Louis FC, and the substitution presented to you by G&W Meats. And of course, we mentioned Manny Padilla coming onto the scene as well.
Ball here, this one.
Stanley. Decent attempt to try to get around Padilla. I think St. Louis a little bit exposed at the back. Reynolds can't quite get a clean tackle in. Pushing and shoving going on, and it'll be in favor of St. Louis. Good work from Fanny Kavita.
Good look at Aldo Quintanilla and what he's done here tonight, just trying to get involved a little bit more, and you see him, Kavita. Oh, it's textbook defending from the center back. It's good stuff, using his body the entire way. Gets pulled off by Quintanilla. Padilla tries to pick his pocket a little bit in the two-man game.
25-year-old from Democratic Republic of Congo, moved to the United States, seeking asylum from the DR Congo at the age of 7. And the foul's going to go against St. Louis FC. This time it's Quintanilla on the receiving end.
And this starts with Aiden Stanley, who takes a little flop of his own on the left-hand side. which forces Sean Reynolds to step up and impose his will a little bit on Aldo Quintanilla. And keep an eye, RTV has some big boys in the back they'd like to bring up. Kyle Adams tends to be the usual suspect, and Omar Ontiveros, we saw him in the first half. But this is a long one, really difficult to put in. You're gonna get anything on it, it's gotta be right in between the 6 and the penalty mark.
It's a little bit further out than Devin had mentioned. And St. Louis trying to take advantage of a thin RGV defense as they sent a slew of numbers forward. Ontiveros, good distribution to find Padilla. In for Quintanilla. Along for Padilla and fouled by Kyle Culbertson. The two number 5s going at it. And a really good chance for RGV now. It started with that beautiful ball from Ontiveros. And it's going to be mustered for Kyle Culbertson.
St. Louis FC's number 5, Kyle Culbertson.
Basically his first action of the game.
That's a little aggressive by our referee, and it's a tiny little touch in behind. He's going to consider that something that's going to affect the game and go towards the goal. You can hear Anthony Poulos about as well, saying that it's something that affects the game, and he doesn't really touch him that hard. But look, this is prime territory. A lot of times in these situations, you'll see Enriquez or Zaldivar stand over the bar, and sure enough, it's going to be Matthias Zaldivar. And we saw them early play something low and into the box, and then they went a little bit further back post. Hasn't been the best of deliveries as of late. Keeping it low worked the first time. I'd like to see him continue that in the same situation.
Zaldivar, good ball in. Danny Kavita was there, however. We're a couple of minutes away from our second half hydration break. Good ball from Hilton. We want 3 points is the chant from the St. Louligans. All it takes is one moment. But the build-up play hasn't exactly been there for Anthony Poulos' side tonight. Tell you what, those tailgates look like an absolute blast. Would you bring your salty pizza to the tailgates?
Oh yeah, absolutely. What I would give to hang out with St. Louligans. They travel with the best of them.
I don't know if they'd let you back in if you brought the salty pizza.
It's all about the salty pizza.
They're trying to kill me.
I just want to get involved. Schlafly Brewery. I mean, ooh, solid stuff, man. I've heard all about their beer and ciders and other stuff going on. Obviously water, I'm more of a water drinker, but from what I hear, the alternative substance is pretty cool as well.
You're a water drinker?
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
With lemon. It's acidic. Ferments a little bit over time, but eventually it turns into something else.
What do you know about fermenting?
I read.
Well, we're officially in our hydration break in the second half.
In the interest of player safety, the USL is...
And St. Louis's next match, as we mentioned during halftime, is going to be against the ever-entertaining, the sometimes ridiculous Las Vegas Lights FC. As they continue their quest for the postseason, St. Louis FC will be taking on Isidro Sanchez's side at Cashman Field, July 7th in Sin City, 10 p.m. Central Time kickoff. Devin, who do you like here?
It's at home.
Yep.
Vegas.
Anything's possible.
No, you know, it's crazy. You go into Cashman Field, and it really is a totally different environment, like nothing you have experienced ever in a professional setting. And Anthony Poulos is going to go in there to Cashman Field and look, from the goalkeeper, Ricardo Ferrigno, to a couple players on the pitch. And there's some quality there, too. You mentioned Carlos Alvarez. He's great. Well, Wiki in the back does a good job defensively. And then you move into management, and there's some questionable decisions and actions that you've seen from technical director El Chalice, as well as now current head coach Isidro Sanchez. But regardless, they started off the season pretty hot, got some good performances versus the likes of Swope Park Rangers and some other squads, but just consistently haven't been able to get it done. You see them slowly drift down the Western Conference. St. Louis, on the other hand, like you said, just sitting right on that bubble. And you don't want to have to worry about this result or that result, but it's the next one and the next one. And eventually, Anthony could say it doesn't matter, but eventually that's going to be there, because the most important thing is being able to get into that playoff position come this fall.
Well, the question that you posed to him as we get a quick look at RGV's upcoming schedule, home against Tulsa, home against Las Vegas, and then a little 3-game road swing against the 2-time reigning Western Conference champion Swope Park Rangers, Steve Trichu's Colorado Springs Switchbacks, and then at Cashman as well. But you asked Anthony Poulos whether or not these were games where they needed points, and he sort of beat around the question and said it's not a matter of needing points, but it's a matter of the process. You know, when you're riding that playoff bubble, there will come a time where they do need 3 points. And I asked the question to you, is it good to sometimes maybe certain games put that on them and say, go out and get 3 points tonight, because there will come a time when they're going to need to?
Absolutely. You want to have this conversation now, or do you want to have it in September when it's must-win situations? You put the pressure on them now and say, listen, let's go out and get it done. You want to do it at home versus RGV, or do you want to go on the road to Phoenix and get that result? Now, I'm not saying that's actually what the scheduling is, but you get the idea. It's more important to be able to get it out now. You and I have always talked about virtual standings. If you already have the results, you're not laying chase to other people. You know what I mean? You've already gotten the points. So much better to be able to get something done now against the likes of RGV, Tulsa, whoever it may be, than to look down the line and be behind the 8 ball on the 9th, 10th position, looking up, trying to find a way to not only get a victory, but the teams in front of you also have to have some sort of result that's going to affect you to climb the table.
Well, not by any stretch of the imagination are they out of this one yet in terms of getting 3 points. And the build-up play has been much better out of the hydration break. Kyle Adams can't handle the service. And it will be a corner kick coming up for St. Louis FC, and it'll be an Electro Savings corner kick. I'll tell you what, a goal at this point in the game would send this specific corner of Toyota into a frenzy. Kadeem Dakers trying to turn the corner, tripped up by Zaldivar.
Take your time! Set it up!
I might not even talk. I might just let Anthony Poulos handle the commentating from here on out.
I mean, it's great to be able to hear exactly what's going on, and he's saying the right things. I mean, 79th minute, haven't really had a lot going offensively. This is one of the best makeshift opportunities you've gotten in a while. So he's smart. Take your time, set it up. You've got a little 2-man game between Hilton and Stanley right now. And obviously, Nico Corti only going to throw 1 or 2 out there in case someone starts to deploy in a short man game. But a dangerous spot nonetheless. And this is where it comes down to it. You got to make the most of your opportunities. Put something into the mixer and let somebody run onto it.
Do commit Aiden Stanley on top of it. Right in front of Jerson Echeverry. Decent ball in. Handled well by the RGV back line. Hilton racing to get there, gets just enough on it. Kadeem Dakers back for Lewis Hilton. Trying to slide it through. Dakers again. That's an extremely heavy touch. It was caught somewhere in between a pass and a first touch, and the result was a dispossession, but St. Louis take the ball right back, and Tomas Gomez can pick somebody out. And Devin, Kyle Gregg was our Toyota player to watch. We were talking about the need for St. Louis, for him to be consistent, especially with Corey Herzog out. we really haven't seen much of him tonight.
He started nicely in that 9 role, and you saw a lot of supporting play, a lot of flick-ons, and he was able to get him behind the back a few times. But again, in that really pivotal role, that striker role, you expect to sum up and kind of take control of the situation. You haven't seen that whatsoever, and that's unfortunate for St. Louis. But again, from a striker's perspective, obviously you'd like to see him all 90 minutes long, but all it takes is that one touch and that one strike to find the back of the net to make your mark, and he still has plenty of time to do so.
Great idea from Takers, almost finding Kyle Gregg as there's starting to be some space to be had. Reynolds. I don't know if that's exactly what Anthony Poulos wants out of his center back, but I'm sure you never pulled anything like that in your playing days.
No.
You're too busy breaking people's legs.
Yeah, well, that ball would have gone over his head. I would have had an ill touch, and then I would have broken someone's leg. Then argued the foul.
Culbertson.
Defense, set it up! Go!
Culbertson, long throw it. Ontiveros wins it. It's off the face of Culbertson, now to play. Columbus, Ohio native. Some contact, no call from Lucas Spalla. Culbertson, good delivery, right into the hands of Corti. There was a run at the near post, but it was a bit too early. And again, it's almost every time we see Nico Corti trying to distribute and spark the counterattack, but St. Louis are up to all of his tricks.
Definitely been poor from the netminder coming out of the back distribution-wise, but going back to St. Louis's chance just a second ago when the ball served in, Kyle Gregg, as you said, just mistimes it a little bit. You can see him working back to the ball as well, and that's hard from a forward. You want to be crashing that ball towards the near post. Just caught out of position a little bit, and unfortunately couldn't get on the end of it.
6 to 7. I like how they write the minutes for you.
7 is off when it happens.
And it looks like we're going to have Jorginho James coming on to replace Matias Zaldivar. The next opportunity for RGV. Culbertson, it was intended for Lewis Hilt, not a bad idea, but again, that final pass continues to elude St. Louis FC. Stanley.
Yellow.
Sub, sir. Sub.
Tripped up and in a little bit of pain.
Sub. Hold on, wait.
Hey, Pablo, un poquito más adelantado, pero tenés que ayudar a los volantes. Hey, tenés que ayudar.
Stanley will shake it off.
You want a sub now? You want a sub?
Youngster has played a very solid game at that outside back position for Anthony Poulos.
Sub.
Hey! Sir!
And you can see Padilla just catching Stanley late there. Doing his best Devin Kerr impression.
It's poor.
Yeah, it wasn't nearly hard enough,
buddy.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
And Padilla shown yellow for his antics. That substitution did take place. Jorginho James.
And he's someone who hasn't been used as much this year, but make no mistake about it, he is a beast in the middle of the field, a bulldog that does all the work. Interestingly enough, they like to call him the Moon Man, and they call him the Moon Man for 2 reasons. It's a funny nickname he got growing up when he was 10 years old, and one reason was because his friend said his head was shaped like the moon, crater-like, and a little bit big and bald. And the second one, which is a little bit more fitting, is that he was so talented and so impressive in his performances that he was shining bright, and he stood out like the night sky, like the moon in its singularity. Gotta love that, the Moon Man.
Really?
I need a nickname like that.
Salty pizza guy.
Yeah. It's taken.
Into the 87th minute here in Fenton, Missouri. No goals to be had. That looked like a foul throw-in from Sam Fink as he basically had both legs come off the ground. Head referee Lucas Spalla didn't see anything, nor did his assistant referees. And it looks like we're going to have one final substitution in the form of Jordan Jones for Gerson Echeverry. Only 2 substitutes used for Anthony Poulos at this time. Perea, Padilla.
This is going to be an interesting test for St. Louis coming down the stretch. Only a few minutes left on the clock, but Jordan Jones can absolutely fly in open space. He's only got 1 assist on the year, but he has had a few opportunities called back, being in the offside position, some of them controversial, but he gives this team a whole nother dimension.
Padilla. Aguilar got a touch to it, but not nearly enough.
Substitution for Rio Grande Valley. Leading the game, number 23, Aldo Quintanilla.
And it will be Jordan Jones.
Jordan Jones.
23-year-old from Pacific Grove, California, selected 47th overall by Los Angeles Football Club, the MLS expansion side. Coming out to the scene here in the 88th minute.
What are we going with?
Well, he does have super speed. Can he be the super sub for Gerson Echeverry?
Quintanilla just never really got going tonight. You saw a couple opportunities from him, and the makeshift one at the top, just kind of isolated, left alone in the first half. Got a good turn and sailed it over the bar. He's the club's leading scorer this year, and he's got 4 goals and 2 assists, but again, just kind of reminiscent of what we've talked about with St. Louis up top, with Kyle Gregg. Those one-on-one situations, never really got the opportunity to challenge anyone for the most part. And a lot of the combination play just hasn't really been there tonight.
James bringing it down right into the backside of Calistri. Another counter attack broken up. Good work from Lewis Hilton. Tony Walls waiting to come on. Calistri.
This has got to be quicker from the home squad. There's got to be more urgency. Again, you don't want to give up these points. You've had the run of possession here in the second half. You've still got time on the clock, but there's got to be more directness in their movements. It's too methodical right now, too slow.
James looking to spring. Chuy Enriquez on the other end, keeps it in play. Looking to take on Kavita. Enriquez. He's just bullied off of the ball to fall for Aguilar. Still Aguilar, Pablo Aguilar. Not a bad effort, but never challenging Gomez. And it will be Tony Walls, the wily veteran, 28 years of age, Wisconsin native, and RGV killer. We're back for the first game of the season.
You put down 7.
St. Louis fans will remember his late equalizer.
Correction, leaving the game, number 13.
And it's Kadeem Dakers who's coming off, and you could hear the 4th official saying that you put 7 down, but it will be number 13, Kadeem Dakers, coming off, and he still seems to be favoring that right shoulder. We'll take another look at the Aguilar chance.
It's a different chance from Aguilar. It's one of the ones coming across the body, and it's a natural tendency as you're trying to bring it across. Your momentum is going to get a good shot, but you kind of shift back a little bit, trying to overcompensate. You see that happen quite regularly.
And the substitution presented to you by G&W Meats. And it looks like we're going to have 5 minutes of stoppage time. Plenty of time for a possible game winner for either the home or away side. Or 5 more minutes of scoreless soccer. Where's your money, Devin?
My money is always on your addition being right, and once again, I'm correct. You all pointing us in the right direction. We couldn't do it without you, man.
Listen, it's a gift. Wouldn't expect somebody such as yourself to understand. If I need some salty pizza, I'll come straight to you.
Another dangerous opportunity for St. Louis coming down the stretch. And got Kyle Gregg in the middle. Look at Sam Fink. Haven't really seen him on the end of anything, and he's got a big frame. He does a good job. Obviously, we saw him a few times last year at OKC. Such an integral piece to Jimmy Nielsen and his movements. You can see Anthony trying to direct the troops as he knows this might be the last effort they get here this evening.
Anthony getting animated in the 93rd minute. Stanley. And the header from Tony Walls. Never of any real concern for Nico Corti. Should Tony let that ball through given how awkward the header is?
It's difficult. I mean, if he shifts it just by an inch, he's able to push that down towards the ground a little bit and either get something on goal or let somebody run through. But again, that comes with the communication that we talked about in the first half. He's got people over his shoulder. Why not a little shout? Leave it. Let it go. Anything like that. If he doesn't hear anything, he's assuming, even though he's taking a peek, he's assuming that it's his to take. So if I'm in his role, I step up and go at it as well.
Tony Walls, good challenge, stays with Perea. James, Ty Green, Padilla again. Anthony Poulos asking for just a couple more minutes out of his club. Challenge from Lewis Hilden. It's going to be a foul. Sheldon Sullivan hits the deck. Cue the boos here at Toyota.
You can see Austin Ledbetter trying to negotiate with our referee about the situation, but obviously the ref has already blown the whistle, and they're going to get an opportunity going the other direction. It's the two of them going in the middle. I don't see anything there whatsoever. The two of them stepping in, no studs up, just a 50-50 ball. It's a good challenge by both guys in the middle of the park, and there's no reason for the referee to blow the whistle in any situation there.
Well, Lewis Hilden being shown mustard in the 95th minute for dissent. So Lucas Spalla just adding insult to injury on that sequence. Lofted ball in, Gomez off of his line. Still free. The shot takes a deflection, and Gomez hangs on to it. There was a collective held breath here at Toyota. And we're officially into the 96th minute. Final whistle has to be next on Lucas Spalla's agenda. Poulos questioning the fourth official. As to the time, and on cue, Lucas Spalla brings this one to a close. No goals to be had in more than 90 minutes of football here in Fenton, Missouri. Both Anthony Poulos and Gerson Echeverry will have to...
Bill is telling us that, you know, he trusts the process and he likes the boys, and this is a very family-oriented scene, but they have to put something together from an ingenuity standpoint going forward. You see too many missed opportunities, spacing issues, communication, and even though it's one little thing here and one little thing there, all of those compound the issue that they're dealing with at this point in time.
It's the second clean sheet in a row for RGV. St. Louis get a clean sheet at home here at Toyota. And you can see just sort of defeated looks from everybody on both sides, because they know that it wasn't by any stretch of the imagination their best football of the season. For RGV, it's another winless game. For St. Louis, it's another draw. And we'll take a look at the full-time highlights. And Devin, no goals to be had, but a couple of half chances here and there. But really, I mean, at the end of the day, just the quality in the final third was missing from everybody.
We saw Zaldivar with a lot of balls sprayed into the box for the guys up top, and this was the early one. Quintanilla does a good job working back towards it, takes a good touch in front of him. And in the first half, this is really the only opportunity that Bryce Marion had. Aiden Stanley going up the pitch, that gets caught in a counterattack, but it's a good job from Reynolds working back, gets a little touch. Gomez able to step up and control collection of the ball.
St. Louis would try their hand using the width. Kadeem Dakers denied by Kai Green, and this is a moment where Kai Green just sort of pulled up and was struggling with that hip flexor groin issue. And he would labor on throughout the game, but would still hold strong defensively. Man, this is a decent opportunity. Altaveras with a header from about 13 yards out.
And again, he has difficulty dealing with Fanuel Kavita. Steps in, and as he steps back out, his momentum's already going the other direction. So it's hard to get enough power on it behind. Sam Fink's going to pick up a yellow for his efforts here, coming the other way. And then from there, things just kind of slowed down. Didn't really see much. Second half starts, you start going the other direction, and it turned into a little bit of a dogfight. Started opening up a little bit. Right at the end of the first is when Kadeem Dakers goes down. We saw that shoulder injury, was able to pursue through it, and so that was a good thing for them. Really thought Anthony Poulos was going to have to go to the bench. Solid display of sportsmanship by Kai Green. Kai Green also someone that we thought laboring and really struggling throughout the match, able to keep on for the full 92.
Kai Green would be shown a yellow card for that challenge. And then this was right at the start of the second half. Quintanilla taken down, showing good pace.
And the good thing from Sean Reynolds, he was able to track back and utilize his body for most of the night, but this one just gets caught out of the position a little bit, and you see he's frustrated with himself. Doesn't really have an argument for our head referee, and you can see the possession there, the shots on target. I mean, you'd like to see more out of St. Louis, but unfortunately they just, again, the ebb and flow just isn't there, and it's too up and down.
Full-time stats, and really, I mean, this just says it all. Sometimes the stats can tell a story, and if there was ever a stat line for a 0-0 game, this is it. I mean, one shot on target for either team. No real big saves needed to be made by Nico Corti or Tomas Gomez. 6 yellow cards distributed throughout the game, 4 for St. Louis, 2 for RGV. Both sides come away with a clean sheet. Both sides come away with a point, and the fans at Fenton will leave Toyota with no goals to be had and really no excitement throughout the game, but sometimes that's a game of football.
Yeah, and you know, for St. Louis, again, the inspiration and the ideas are there. For me, it's just the craft in the final third, and you see guys getting forward, but when they get Corey Herzog and Jonathan Barton back from injury and get them to combine on a regular basis with Kyle Gregg and Calistri and the boys coming out from the back, if they're going to turn Sam Fink, I don't know if that's a permanent thing. It was interesting sliding him into the marking position, but if they turn him into an outside back, I thought he did a great job tonight. Could be a good move for them going forward.
Well, that's going to do it from Toyota. Final score from Fenton, Missouri. St. Louis FC 0, RGV FC 0. No goals to be had in more than 90 minutes of play. But every time we get an opportunity to do it, we're glad that we were able to. For our entire crew and my broadcast partner, Devin Kerr, I'm Tyler Terrence saying so long for now. We'll talk to you soon.